Hello, everybody. Welcome to Running Code, Humor in South Texas Law Enforcement. I'm your host, T-Bone. With me, as always by my side and got my back, J-Man.
What's up, man?
J-Man, how was your week, man?
Week was good.
Yeah, you stay busy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Every day I'm virtually busy.
And as we're here talking about this morning, it is colder than a witch's titty and a brass bra outside. It is freezing today.
Yeah, it's pretty frigid.
Yeah, I actually turned on the heater in here, and I never run the heater. It is cold. But I think today we're going to talk about funny stuff that cops do with guns. Now, we had an episode on guns,
Yeah,
episode 3, 2, something like that.
it's very early.
But that was about other people. Now we're going to talk about the stupid shit we do as cops with guns.
Mm-hmm.
Now the public likes to think, yeah, it happens. The public likes to think that we're masters of guns. Nothing could be further from the truth. If they actually saw what annual qualifications look like, it would scare the hell out of people. You do have some officers that are very familiar with guns. They're SWAT, they shoot all the time, or officers who off duty, they're gun enthusiasts and play on the range all the time with their own money and their own time, where they're actually very proficient with the use of their firearms. The average officer across the country, not that proficient with a gun, and that is scary. Did you ever see that video where the CHP officer in California and the suspect were 5 feet from each other and unloaded guns on each other, and neither one got hit? The suspect got in the car and drove off.
Yeah, they all missed. Yeah.
Send that guy to the arcade or the roll of quarters. He emptied a mag. The bad guy emptied a mag. Nobody hit. I don't even think the Suburban that he was standing next to got hit. Nobody on the highway got hit. Where all those bullets went, it's like 30 rounds. Don't know where they went. They were 5 feet from each other. And people are like, how can you miss at that range? Believe me, you actually can.
Yeah, no, you can.
It's a small bullet in a big space. So that actually happens more often than we think. You see those shootout videos where officers fire 100 rounds, bad guy fires 15 rounds or whatever from his weapon, and nobody hit.
Mm-hmm.
Not a scratch. You might have some cars shot up, maybe a house or two hit, but nobody's actually hit physically.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, how's that happen? We're going to explain how that happens today. So we've had our fair share of screw-ups with guns.
Mm-hmm.
We had a deputy in this agency. I'll not mention his name. I love him to death. Good guy. But he fired 42 rounds of that dog that was coming after him, and he didn't even hit the dog.
Now, that's...
I see you scratching your head.
But yeah, and that, like you said, that also could be for a number of things. Movement, just a moving target in general.
Lack of proficiency.
Yep.
Lack of training. But they decertified him. They sent him out to the range of one of our very, very senior firearms instructors. And he got into a shooting not too long after that where he scored 2 rounds to the X-ring while the guy was shooting at him at a range of 20 feet.
Okay.
So whatever that senior instructor did worked.
Yeah.
Because when it mattered, he scored 2 hits in the X-ring while the guy was actually shooting a shotgun at him.
Yeah.
At a range of 20 feet. So whatever he did worked.
Yeah.
So that problem solved itself. And thank God it wasn't reversed the first time around.
Right.
Otherwise, that officer might not be here today. So I was glad it worked out that time. But we've had officers fire guns off in roll call. Officers fire guns off in their squad cars.
Yeah.
Officers leave their weapons in the locker at the jail and they leave and forget to put their weapon back on, and they get to their next call or traffic stop and their gun is not with them.
Yeah, that happens.
That'll make your butthole pucker. Sir, you're free to go. Get back in your Tahoe and ride the hell off. Right back to the jail. Put me out of service, right back to the jail, and pray to sweet Jesus is not something that happens around you while you're on the way back to the jail. Firearms are one of those things, it's a perishable skill. And if you don't practice it, and if you don't take the time, and yes, you got to invest in yourself. Some agencies have the ability where you can show up at the range anytime and practice if you want to. Some agencies have that budget. Some agencies don't have that budget. Your smaller agencies may not have that budget.
Yeah.
But if they do, take advantage of it. Yeah, okay, on your day off, go take a couple extra hours. That may suck. Or if you work second shift, go out to the range at noon. When you start shift at 3, go to the range at noon. Just fire 50 rounds. Just get, the muscle memory. It's a perishable skill. Shooting is a perishable skill, like golf. If you play golf every day, you're probably a decent golfer. If you don't play golf for 6 months, you know the mechanics, but the fundamentals are kind of shaky because you haven't played. It's a perishable skill. It's like shooting. If you don't maintain it, and yeah, you have the fundamentals, But if you don't really work on that fine muscle control, trigger squeeze and grip, stuff like that, it does tend to leave. And the body remembers training under stress. How you train under stress is how you're going to react in a real world situation.
Yeah.
Which is why I was in the military. We trained stress shooting, where they actually put us under stress when we in shooting. I mean, we do wind sprints and then immediately start shooting, or we'd be in a dark room, low light, and then they would tell you, there's your target. The light would come on over your target, and they start throwing firecrackers at your feet, teaching you to just ignore the outside world, concentrate on your target, focus. Law enforcement doesn't teach stress shooting. SWAT might. SWAT probably does. I'm not a SWAT officer, I can't tell you. But I'm sure they do. But the regular line officer does not practice stress shooting. They go to the line. All right, shooter's ready. Up. You draw. You get good side alignment, trigger squeeze, and you fire.
Now, some ways to like create stress shooting on your own, would that just be to like before you take your course of fire, if you're at the range by yourself, maybe do some burpees, do some jumping jacks, something to get that heart rate going.
You want to get your heart rate up.
And then you go ahead and put them shots down range on your target.
Because when you're
kind of just like self-practice.
When your adrenaline shoots up, the first thing to go is find muscle control.
Yeah.
And shooting, some of it is fine muscle control. So you have to train your body to override that and stay calm while you're being shot at. Because there were shots than you. The chances of him hitting you are actually fairly low. So moving around is not really going to help you. Stand your ground, advance on your target. Now that's infantry 101. They don't teach you to retreat. They teach you to advance on your target while shooting. Mm-hmm. Okay, special forces, they move while shooting. They train that in CQB. Move while shooting. Move towards your target because you're going to freak them out. The closer you get, the more scared they're going to get, and they're just going to start shooting wildly. They're going to hit the wall, ceiling, everything but you. Might they get you? They might. I mean, they might. That's the risk you take. But if you don't practice this, one of you is going to get lucky, and it might not be you.
Right.
So this is why law enforcement really needs to revamp their firearms training programs, because there is a basic skill set. There's a basic training level, and that meets the state requirement, then you're good. And then annually you fire 50 rounds, and you're good. Nothing could be further from the truth. Honestly, it should be quarterly. Really, it should be every 3 months. You should. And you should fire a couple hundred rounds, and you should do moving and shooting and barricade shooting and stress shooting. You really should, because when it matters, your body's going to react to how it was trained.
I have heard the attitude on range day that it seemed more of an inconvenience than anything. Like, I have to, I could have just had this day off, but I had to come to the range. And typically with most larger agencies, the range is usually tied with in-service. So they're already pretty pissed off that they have to be an in-service depending on how that officer is. And then the fact you got to go to the range also, and it could be hot, it could be super cold. Yeah. You have to wait for everybody to catch up and get to the right course of fire, have the right amount of rounds.
You got to wear your vest.
Yeah, so it's...
And there's a reason that they make you wear your vest on the range.
Oh, no. Yeah.
We're not going to mention his name, but he shot himself.
No, yeah, and then I was in the academy at SAC, and there was a female officer in the prior class that an instructor got hit with fragments, bullet fragments.
I heard about that.
Yeah. So
if you go to any police shooting range and you look at it, you're going to see bullet holes all over the place. You're going to see them in the ceiling. You're going to see them in the walls. You're going to see them in the floor. You're going to see them in the stanchions that are underneath the targets. You're going to see bullet holes everywhere except the damn targets. And the ones on the ceiling really crack me up. But then you look and there's ones on the floor next to where they were standing. So they drew and fired a round into the ground. Thank God they didn't shoot their own foot or someone else's foot. And we did have an officer in this agency years and years and years ago. I mean, this is probably 8 years ago, who drew and shot himself, and the bullet traveled down his leg and exited out his, I think it was his heel or near his ankle, but the bullet went down his leg.
Yeah, it's.
And of course, the overreaction of the administration. Oh my God, stop. Okay, this happens. It's going to happen. Statistically, you're going to have a firearms incident. In an agency as large as ours, you're going to have a firearms incident. Yeah. It's the numbers. It's going to come up. Now, hopefully it's a minor, not a major, where someone actually is seriously like injured or even at worst killed. A lot of these things, and then, but the flip coin of that, officers that play with their guns like they're toys. There's a video of that officer who was twirling his Glock around his head and fired around right by his head and went right by his ear and into the wall. Like,
oh yeah, that's TikTok.
It was TikTok or YouTube. I want to say it was TikTok.
It's one of those, yeah.
But you got to ask, what was going through your mind?
Fame?
Yeah, he got famous for the wrong reasons.
Fame is fame.
Oh, I guess. I can't remember who said it, but as long as you spell my name right, I don't care what you say about me.
Yeah, pretty much.
But still, I mean, these aren't toys. You know, and that same officer, I guarantee you, be telling kids, that's not a toy, that's not a toy, that's not a toy. It's like that very famous agent, that video of that DEA agent. He was in a classroom. He was in a classroom, and he fired around in his own leg. Now, he took it well, because I think he even said something along the lines of, you don't do that, and he just kind of hobbled away and holstered it. He ended up getting fired from the DEA for that. And it was a classroom full of children. Yeah, probably not the worst idea. He was playing with a loaded gun. Now we all know the firearms rules. Treat every gun as if it's loaded.
Yep.
Unless I take the damn thing apart, it's loaded. Mm-hmm. So I never take it personally. When I check my firearm and they hand it to somebody else and they check it again, there's nothing wrong with that. I encourage that. Please check it.
Yeah.
I'm human. But I'd rather you take the extra second to check it than I screwed up and you just take it and it turns out to be live and you fire a round off. Mm-hmm. Because with a Glock, what do you have to do? First thing you got to do is pull the trigger to take the stress out of the spring so you can pull the slide back to take the slide off. And that has happened so many times with Glocks. They thought it was empty. They dropped the magazine, but they didn't shuck it out. And then they pulled the trigger. Hopefully they pointed it in a safe direction because it even says in instructions, point firearm in a safe direction, pull the trigger. But the first thing it says is clear the weapon. Mm-hmm. They skip the steps. They do it backwards. Well, they cleared it all right. It's empty now. But hopefully you just shot a hole in the floor and you have an embarrassing story.
Yeah.
Versus you hit your dog, your cat, your wife, your kids because you're fucking with your gun because you don't know what the hell you're doing because you're not confident in what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you practice enough, it becomes second nature, but never forget the safety firearms fundamentals. And officers have a hard time remembering these safety fundamentals.
Yeah.
So it's funny now. It's funny when no one's hurt. You just got an embarrassing story. You shot a hole in the floor at roll call. You shot a hole in the roof of your cruiser. You shot okay, that's funny. Haha, no one got hurt. You get your butt chewed. Maybe you get a couple days vacation. But you learn your lesson and you don't do it again. And you learn proficiency. I've seen officers that are grown men and women act terrified of these firearms on the range. They scare the hell out of me. I always try to stand at the far end of the shooting range, either the far left or the far right. I prefer far left. Most people are right-handed. So they draw, they're going to come up and come around their right side. I want to be on the left. So I go to the far end of the shooting line. At least I don't have to worry about anyone to my left. I just have to worry about the people to my right. And the drill that scares me is when they have them face the left wall and then turn and draw.
Oh,
that drill scares the hell out of me because there's a whole lot of officers who are not waiting until they finish turning to pull. They're pulling while they're turning, and they're flagging me, and I'm just like waiting for it. I'm just waiting for it that day. Or the 180 drill, where they say up, you look over your shoulder, then you turn, set your feet while drawing. Mm-hmm. They'll draw, then turn. But they draw, and now they're flagging everybody that's down to the right of them all the way around that target. Boy, that don't scare you nothing, Will.
And for some of our non-LE listeners that are wondering what the word flagging means pointing a loaded firearm, the muzzle, which would be the front of the gun where the bullet comes out, at other people, not your intended target.
That's not a good
all
thing.
Day. That's all day. That's a terrible thing to do.
Don't do that.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing to do.
Officers do that. I had a part-time gig on the weekends. I was a range master at a local shooting range here. Got the job by accident, just surely because my voice carried, and the manager said, would you like a job? So I had a weekend job of playing with everyone else's guns for free. It was great. Their guns, their ammo, and I got to play with full automatic weapons, rifle, everything you name it, I got to play with it all weekend long, and I was getting paid too. It was like the greatest job in the world. I could have worked it full time. But I had more guns pointed at me on that shooting range than I ever had as an officer. I mean, sir, my gun's not working. They point it right in my face, start pulling the trigger. Talk about your heart stops for a second. I think the first time I ever had a use of force outside of being an officer was punching a guy who pointed a gun right in my face. And he didn't do it maliciously, and I didn't sock him to be mean. It was just reactionary. I pushed the gun away and socked him in the mouth. I look around, there's a bore of a 45 in my face. I had a guy, he was pointing a gun at his wife. They're standing next to each other, and he's holding the gun like this, and she's standing right here. And he's got his finger in the trigger, just sitting there pointing a gun at her while they're talking. I walked up and I pushed the gun down range and said, "Sir, do you love your wife?" "Yeah." "Well, you were just pointing a loaded gun at your wife." And then she realized it. And she got a little bent. But I was like, I had to tell you that? Like, people, these aren't toys.
Lots of the times, these are it's negligence. It's negligence. That's like the appropriate term. But to make people feel better, we say accidental.
Well, no, but we've kind of gone away from the term accidental. Though.
Right.
We now call it negligent discharge because it is negligent. The gun didn't fire on its own.
Yeah.
It didn't jump up, take off running, and start randomly shooting. You pulled the trigger. You manipulated the device to fire.
Yeah.
It was nothing the gun did. The gun is an inanimate object. You're in control of it. So obviously it was an accident. It wasn't an accident. It was negligent. You didn't do it on purpose, but it wasn't an accident. Let's be honest. So we've had, I don't know how many, I don't remember the name of the deputy that did it. He fired a round right through the floorboard of his Tahoe, and I don't know why he had his gun out to begin with. He wasn't on a call. But he fired a round right through the floorboard. I was like, what was your gun out of its holster for? They rest in the holster until you need it. There's no reason to have it out playing with it. You should have checked it before you came to work and made sure it was loaded and ready. Other than that, it stays in your holster until you need it. Now, when in doubt, whip it out. You can put it back just as quick. But there was no reason for it. Now, I've pulled mine out when I've had a car pull up next to me that looked like a car full of maybe not so nice people. Mm-hmm. I might have it out underneath the door, pointed at the door, just like, because I'm stuck and I have nowhere to go. So if I have to, at least I can get a few off if I have to through the door, because most people don't realize bullets go through doors just fine.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll punch the door of a Tahoe or a Crown Vic without a problem. Mm-hmm. So the doors don't offer any protection to you. The only thing that offers any protection in a vehicle is the engine block. The A, B, and C pillar might, because that's the frame of the car.
Yeah.
The door itself, you could punch a screwdriver through. What do you think a bullet's going to do?
Yeah.
You can go right through it. Mm-hmm. Windshield glass, though, is pretty sturdy, but that's because the way it's angled. So bullets tend to hit and go off.
Go in different directions.
And they don't just come straight through. But side windows, they'll punch right through. So I've done that before, where I just have it down and I'm just keeping an eye on the people in the car next to me. And then as soon as they drive off, I reholster. It's better to have it and never need it than need it and you didn't have it. That's why experienced officers will leave a gap with cars in front of them at a stop at a red light. If I can't be up front where I prefer to be, if I have no choice, I will keep a good 20, 30-foot gap between the car in front of me. So I have room to maneuver if I have to. If I have to hit the gas, I can at least get out of the way or back up, but I don't like being stuck where I have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I'm stuck, and that car can quickly become my coffin. Mm-hmm. So, and that's I used to tell trainees when I was training them, don't get right up on cars. There's no reason to get right up on cars. Have a 30-foot gap. Have a safety gap. Plus, if you see a car come screaming up behind you, you have a 30-foot gap to take your foot off the brake, kind of edge it forward, maybe lessen the impact you're about to get.
Yeah.
I'm not saying roll into the car in front of you. Sometimes you don't have a choice. You put your foot down the brakes and just wait for the impact and hope for the best. But there's a million reasons to keep that gap. There's no good reason to be right up on the car in front of you.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
Kind of like the whole have your windows down. No matter how cold or hot it is, have your windows down. You cannot hear someone scream for help if your windows are up and you got the radio blasting. I keep my radio low and I keep the windows down, hot or cold, so I can hear what's going on around me. And if I hear it, that could be the difference between hearing someone scream for help and not hearing them.
Yeah.
No, and you might have stopped it, whatever it is, because you heard it, and at least stop, look around. Where was that? Start looking around. Mm-hmm. Like, what doesn't look right? As cops, we know when something looks wrong. We learn to pay attention to what we call cop instincts. You've been on the street long enough, you learn cop instinct. What just feels wrong? What doesn't feel right? The way people look at you. There's a difference between people that just look at you and look away, and people who are just looking at you, and you can tell there's something on their mind, and it ain't good. And those are the ones I stare right back at them. I let them know I'm watching them. Mm-hmm. But I don't. People don't like making eye contact. They feel it's aggressive. Or cops, you need to make eye contact. Watch these people. Stare at them. Let them know you're watching them. If they have up to no good, they might think twice because you're watching them.
At its basic, at its core, it's I don't know, you want to call it animalistic at the very least, because that can be direct eye contact is an assertion of dominance.
It is.
So when that individual that could be a potential threat sees that you're paying attention to them, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna, whatever it is they just thought about doing, they're gonna stop it because they're paying attention. Because they know you're paying attention.
You're paying attention.
And it throws them off their game a little bit.
A safety note, especially for ladies, in parking lots, when you're walking out of malls or grocery stores, don't be on your phone walking through the parking lot. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Look at the cars coming up behind you. If you see someone staring at you, turn around and stare at them. Because if that person has something on his mind, he's going to find a different target because you have got a clear look at him.
Yep.
And women, you have instincts too. You know when something's wrong. If you get that ick, go away. Walk back to the store. Walk over to someone else in the parking lot. Hey, do you mind if I walk with you? I don't know anyone's ever going to have a problem with that. Hey, I can just walk with you. I got a weird feeling about that guy. You got safety numbers. That guy, if he had something planned for you, is not going to get involved now because now he's got not just one, but two people that can ID him.
And it's not an easy mark like you
And
thought.
it's not an easy mark. But if you're walking through the parking lot with your head down in your phone, keys in your hand, you're an easy target.
Yeah.
That car just pulls up next to you, throws the door open, grabs you, you're gone. And by the time the 911 call gets out, and by the time officers in the area start moving, that guy's 5 minutes away. If he's near a highway, he's gone. I hate to say it, but he's gone. So unless it was like some crazy color and very odd colored van or car that sticks out, if it's nondescript, that dude's 2 cities away within an hour.
Yeah.
So, ladies, pay attention to what's going on around you. Look at what's going on around you. Pay attention to cars around you. This is what people don't do either. I watch it all day long. They don't pay attention to what's going on around them. They're sitting their lights and they're just looking forward. If they're not on their phone, they're just looking forward. They're not looking around at the cars around them. People, you need to pay attention to what's going on around you because that could be the difference between life and death.
Yeah.
And situational awareness. Situational awareness. If you pay attention to what's going on around you, your chances of being a victim go down a lot.
Very true.
Or while we're on the topic of guns, leaving guns in your car.
Yeah, bad idea.
So they just did a story on the news. In this county alone, 3,100 guns were stolen out of cars last year. 3,100 in last year alone. 35,000 in the state guns were stolen out of cars.
And I can guarantee at least a majority of those vehicles were left unopened.
Yes, they were.
Windows were not smashed. They're not popping the lock.
Yeah, because
like
they
the
don't
old
smash and
school
grab
days.
anymore.
Yeah, it's just these young juveniles, these adult males, they are just cruising around in a nondescript 4-door, lights off in the middle of the night, and just pulling on door handles just to see which car opens up. They're not going to do something that takes them too much time and draws too much attention, like breaking a window. And I don't know why people like to leave their guns in the car to begin with.
I don't understand that.
If you're going to do that, at least leave it in a case with a lock on the case. Because even then, they may see it. Maybe it might deter them, like, oh, damn, it's in the case, there's a lock. Nah, I'm just moving to the next one.
Well, when they don't know what it is for sure.
Right.
But what we've found as officers is watching the ring footage and Vivint footage or whatever footage you have is that's exactly what they do. You have one car go down the street and you'll have kids on both sides of the streets and they're just walking down pulling on door handles and they'll pull one open. And if you leave a fob in there for the car next to it, they'll chirp. Oh, that one's unlocked too.
Yep.
Now they got that car too. And they're not going to steal the car. They might steal the car, they get a fob. Now they might just, hey, that's prime target of opportunity. Let's snatch the car and go.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But the common factor is the cars were unlocked. Out of the thousands of vehicle burglaries I worked, I think I only had 2 where they actually broke the window or popped the locks.
And that must be something they really saw and wanted in that car.
So look at it this way. If you got 10 cars that you can get into quietly, but there's nothing really of value in it, and you got that one car that's got a gun in plain view, they're going to take the gun because that is the number one easiest sellable item on the street is a gun. The majority of gun crimes were committed by stolen firearms.
Right.
They were. And when we trace them back, get a hold of the gun, run it was stolen, find out it was taken in a vehicle burglary. 99 out of 100, it was taken in a vehicle burglary. So just think about that. 3,100 guns alone in this county stolen last year in just vehicle burglaries, not home burglaries. This is strictly vehicle. In the whole state, 35,000 guns got stolen out of cars. That is 35,000 weapons that could be used on the street to kill somebody, whether it's an officer or an innocent person, or be used in a gun crime or a drive-by, because you couldn't just lock your gun up in your house.
Yeah.
Now, I get it. You're a licensed to carry holder, and there's places you can't carry a gun. They do make aftermarket safes that bolt to the frame in your car that are out of sight. Put it in there, lock the damn thing up. It's not visible. They can't see it, and they don't even know it's there. But when you have your car covered in stickers like Colt, Glock, Sig Sauer, NRA, that's a car where a gun lives. They know there's a gun in that car. And if it's parked somewhere that they know that you can't carry a gun inside, good odds are the gun is in the car. They might take that risk and break the window to see if there's a gun in there.
Yep.
So you need to stop advertising your guns on your cars. Stop having Colt, Sig Sauer, Glock, Winchester, Smith & Wesson, NRA, Second Amendment. Stop advertising on your car that you have guns because you're going to be a target. And while we're on that topic of open carry, I don't have a personal problem with it. It's legal, but I have a common sense issue with it. You are telling everybody you have a gun. Look at me, everybody. I have a gun, which means if there's something go down, you're going to be the first one they're going to shoot because you're the threat. You can stop them. So when you want to be that Billy Badass Second Amendment, I walk around, I got a gun and display it for everybody, you're an idiot. That gun should never be seen until it's necessary for it to come out of that holster. And then good marksmanship would be appreciated. But tell me I'm wrong. I get it. I love guns. I think guns are great. I grew up on guns on a ranch. I mean, I grew up holding guns as young back as I can remember. But there's no common sense to carrying openly.
Me, I have, I don't know. I guess I have no opinion on the matter as far as like open versus concealed. Yeah. So, yeah, in the state that I'm from, yeah, you'd be real stupid to open carry any firearm. You'd be real stupid.
Well, it just makes you a target. It makes you visible. People are watching you now. You know, the whole purpose of carrying concealed is that no one knows it's there. Mm-hmm. You can protect you and other people around you by virtue of no one knows you have it. So when they run in with their guns out, this is a robbery. They don't see you with that gun because you've got it concealed. You can play your cards right and maybe stop this.
Yeah.
But if they see that gun, who are they going to shoot first? The one that can stop them.
Or at least keep their attention on you and take it off you.
Yeah, or they put it down and they take your gun from you. Yeah. Now they have another gun.
Yeah, and it sucks.
So gun safety is such a serious thing and nobody takes it seriously. It's just like, take it seriously before it costs you. Because that gun can be used to kill an innocent person.
Yeah.
A police officer. A state trooper, because they had it available. So all these old gun laws, I'm not going to go into gun laws because
it's too political for us.
But we don't need new gun laws. We have plenty of gun laws in place. Honestly, The people who want guns are going to get a hold of them. They're not hard to get a hold of, but we want to make it harder by not making them so accessible.
Yeah.
Lock them up. Don't leave them in your car. If you have to leave it in your car because you go places some days where you can't carry a firearm because it's not legal, get one of those floor-mounted safes. The dealerships will install them for you. And they're mounted to the frame. That is not coming out. Mm-hmm. And then you can lock it up. At least the gun is locked up. You did everything you could to lock it up. Don't just throw it under your seat or put it between the seat and the armrest or throw it in the door. That's a red flag. They'll look right in that and they'll break the window because that's worth it. Instead of taking 10 cars, might get some jewelry, might get some change out of the glove box. They're going to get a gun that they can sell for $400 or $500 on the street in an hour. It's gone. That gun is sold. Mm-hmm. I've recovered stolen guns here that came from New York, California, Montana, Florida. They made it all the way across the U.S. to my county, and I did it on a traffic stop where it was using a crime. We recovered the gun, and it's nowhere. It was never stolen anywhere near here, and it was stolen a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
in Florida. Yep. So where has that gun gone for a year and a half?
Yeah, and what has it been used in?
What has it been used in? So people don't know. We have a system called NIBINs. So we will test fire that weapon. So I'll give you an example. Let's say we catch you with a stolen gun. Mm-hmm. We're going to submit the gun as evidence because it was evidence that you have a stolen firearm. But we're also going to test that firearm, and we're going to enter the results into NIBINs. And if that gun was used in a homicide anywhere, guess who the first suspect is? The one who had the stolen gun.
Yeah.
And then you got to prove that you didn't commit a homicide in Louisiana, and the gun was covered in Texas. It was stolen in Florida. Mm-hmm. Now you're jumping to, I didn't kill nobody. Then where'd you get this gun? Because they got to start backtracking now to figure out who committed this homicide. But the first suspect is the one that had the gun. Mm-hmm. So now you got to prove you never were in Florida and stole it, that you never were in Louisiana and used it, because you're already a felon, couldn't own a gun, or you're a prohibited possessor because you have domestic violence convictions, or you're under 21, couldn't buy a handgun, or whatever.
Yeah.
You have a gun you weren't supposed to have. The very virtue of being stolen means you're not allowed to have it. Because you didn't buy it from a gun store. You didn't run an ATF form and purchase it legally. Because Texas doesn't do gun registration. Yeah. We don't have California where you can actually run a person. It'll show you all the guns that they own. Yeah. I'm glad we don't have gun registration in Texas. We don't need it.
I think, isn't that also, just a quick side note, isn't that also public record? Like, that can be looked up by anybody?
You know, I'm not sure how that works in California. I wonder.
I remember seeing some, and I could be very, very wrong, but I think proposed legislation in the beginning was that was going to be done, a person's name, how many firearms they have, and then where they are located in the home, and that was going to be public information. Now, maybe because, maybe somebody with some good ideas, better than those ideas. Good ideas like, hey, maybe we should make it public at least, because then
maybe
a
it's
burglar
not.
could see it and then go decide to hit this home on 1234, Ash Street, because they know John Smith has 4 like AR style pistols or what have you, and they're going to go in there and go in his bedroom and get him and then leave.
Well, I remember I worked a burglary where the guy had a huge gun safe and it was floor mounted. It was bolted to the floor. It was it was a good sized gun safe too. This wasn't a cheapo from Walmart. This was like one of those 1,800-pound gun safes with the 4-inch thick doors, fire rated. This was not a cheap safe. But he was on vacation. Somebody knew he was on vacation. So either they were staking him out or he put it on Facebook like a moron. Hey, I'm going out of town for 2 weeks. Really just advertised your house is empty for 2 weeks. Stop doing that, people. Stop putting your lives on social media and telling them where you're going and what you're doing, because all you're doing is telegraphing it to criminals. They're going to use it for illegal purposes. The only reason they care you're out of town is they know they're not going to be bothered. That's it. But they knew, either they knew or lucky happenstance, but they kicked the door. The gun safe was next to a window, and we got the video from the neighbor, and it was a big jacked up truck, very, big mudder tires. It was just a big, powerful truck. They put a chain around that safe and pulled it through the wall. Like, they legit yanked it through the wall. They chained it, ran into the bumper of that truck, and floored it down the street, and actually pulled the safe through the wall down the street. And then they jumped out. It was like 3 guys. They loaded it. They threw it in the back of the truck, threw the bed up on the truck, and took off. They were gone. The guy, and of course, he got called back from vacation because the neighbors heard this or saw it or whatever it was, and we got called. And he was out of town or at work or whatever he was. He was there when we took the report, and the huge safe-size hole in the wall of his house. And I said, please tell me you have the serial numbers of all those guns. Luckily, he did. He knew exactly what was in the safe. He had the serial numbers, the makes, the models. We were able to enter those guns immediately, as fast as we could. We got them entered at least, so they will pop up somewhere. Most guns are recovered on traffic stops. Yeah. That's where they're recovered from. I felt bad for the guy. He done everything he was supposed to do. It bolted in the floor. He had a serious gun safe. Still got him stolen. Nothing got done about it.
Yeah, he did all he could.
They did everything he was supposed to, and it just sucks. And they took it back to the den of thieves and cut the door off at their leisure and got those guns, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, and we've had a few gun store burglars. They had one in your old jurisdiction. Mm-hmm. Where they robbed it several times.
Yeah,
and I think cut a hole in the floor.
Caught a hole in the floor being underneath because there was enough in the crawl space.
And they did. They emptied that place out. I think that happened 2 or 3 times. I think they got robbed 2 or 3 times.
And I think their alarm was, for some reason, didn't go off or it didn't work. Something of the sort.
I think when they cut through the floor, they didn't have the sensors on for movement. They had the doors, but not the sensors. So I think that's where they were able to walk around and take their sweet time and load up God knows how many guns. And that must have been a lot of fun to enter into NCIC, all those stolen guns. That must have sucked. That was a phone call to dispatch.
Well, so because even though, and this, maybe we might talk about this in a future episode, jurisdictional lines between agencies, because they were about it's literally maybe 20 feet away from my old jurisdiction's municipal limits. I believe your agency had to take it.
Probably. And I hope that patrolman had a trainee, and that trainee had to enter all 400 guns as stolen. Yeah, so, good luck. Here's the list. Have fun. Call dispatch.
For the listeners, sometimes you may want to report something that you may be in. You may prefer a jurisdiction, but you're not in that jurisdiction, so you actually have to give it to another agency's jurisdiction. And the jurisdictional lines suck. If we could actually have a color-coded map and just show you where every agency in Bexar County and where in the county and where the jurisdiction is, yeah, it would suck.
I think that cat's out of the bag.
It sucks.
People think it's like the movies where we fight to get cases. It's mine. No, it's mine. It's the opposite. It's yours. No, it's yours. No, it's yours. We will stand on that county line, city line, municipal limit, whatever it is, and we'll point at each other and ask and beg them to take the case. You take it. No, you take it. No, have it on your side. Yeah, but it ended on your side. I mean, we don't want the cases. We have enough cases. We're not a small agency where we're begging for cases. We don't need any more cases. This is your problem. You deal with it. Yep. The crash started on your side, but ended over here. But that's yours because it started on your side. Oh, no, but it ended on your side. Oh. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not.
Well, folks, we hope you found the funny in something today, but you also got an education. And remember what we told you. This is important about, please secure your firearms. Lock them up. Don't leave them in cars. If you know you have to run around all day, places you can't carry a gun, just don't have it with you that day. It sucks, but it's better than having it stolen and used and to hurt somebody. we want you obviously enjoy your Second Amendment right. We want you to take the pleasure of being able to own and carry firearms and shoot them, but we want you to be safe and make safe choices with those firearms. But part of the fun of, or part of the responsibility of owning a firearm is make responsible decisions with that firearm. Mm-hmm. So it's not just go to the shooting range, bang, 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 have a great time. Make a smart decision while you have that firearm before it ends up hurting somebody else. So, listeners, hope you have a great week. Please stay warm. It is colder than hell right now. Please dress appropriately. A t-shirt is not appropriate. If it works for you and you're from Alaska and this is summer to you, hey, go for it. But this here is South Texas. We're not used to this.
Oh, yeah.
So, and when it starts getting icy, please slow down, but don't slam on the brakes. That's what gets you in trouble, or flooring it. Just let the momentum of your car carry over the overpass. It'll carry over just fine. I say that as a traffic officer who's going to be out there cleaning it up. So, J-Man, you got anything to add?
No, that's it. That's funny. Can't let it carry you over the overpass.
It will. It will. But we'll have a whole nother discussion about ice driving, maybe after this winter season, where we can talk about all the funny crap we saw during this icy season. Well, Texas's version of an icy season.
Yeah.
So, folks, from J-Man and I here at Run and Code, wish you a safe week. Brothers and sisters, be safe out there. Take care of yourselves. And I have nothing else to add, J-Man.
Nope, that's it.
All right, we're out.